to thee, dear old Theta Chi, we sing our songs of praise. It is to thee.
I'm Mark Wagner. I'm an engineer here in Denver, Colorado. My son Daniel is a member of the Theta Chi chapter at the University of Denver. He mentioned to me some of the things that Theta Chi were doing about the brotherhood relationships and the thing called Sacred Purpose, which to him really touched him. He's the sort of young man that really embraces emotional relationships with other people a little differently than some young men. I think he gets that a lot from his sisters, and his mom are all in healthcare, doctors and nurse practitioners and the like. So to him it was a natural thing growing up in that sort of environment that he didn't really have at the university. And when he heard about it, he mentioned it to me. He said, "Dad, the university isn't really there for me, but the fraternity is."
I'm Phyllis Watwood. I am the Health and Safety Advisor for Theta Chi at the University of Denver. The impact of Sacred Purpose on my son has been wonderful. He has embraced it as part of his life. He sees his brothers truly as his brothers and cares for all of them, and he's there for all of them, and he's helped them to learn about avenues of other avenues where they can find help within the university. Sacred Purpose is making a difference at the University of Denver in a very subtle way. The very first thing that the boys came up with was Strike Out Stress, which they gathered 2-, 3-, 4-day-old fruit, and they threw it at a wall. You wrote on the fruit what was stressing you out, and you threw it. They invited the whole campus. People were wondering what they were doing, but it was a nice, subtle way to introduce it. I'm hopeful that, that subtlety grows as a grassroots growth.
I thought it was remarkable that the young men were so enthusiastic about this particular program. And so I talked to Daniel a bit more about it, and he said, "Yeah, Dad, we're doing some things on campus, we're doing this and that," and he mentioned the various small, nuanced functions that they were sponsoring on campus, and that's how I found out about it. And really, I did more, less, or let's say I did less proactively challenging Daniel and asking him about it than I did just probing a little bit. "How's it going, Dan? How do you feel about things at school with the fraternity?" And I could tell for Daniel that his enthusiasm was going up and his sense of well-being was going up. And that's the key for a parent, I think.
I would want to tell other parents about Sacred Purpose that their son has moved into a good place in his community life. And I would encourage them to ask their son about the fraternity and about Sacred Purpose and about the movement that they're doing and why and how it's touched their lives. Because I see, when you hear about it, it just gives you a good feeling, a stronger feeling about Theta Chi than you already had.
The advice, Dick, that I would give to administrators, and I'd like to start at the top if I could, is to take this program seriously. Young men and women in college, even at this age, still learn primarily through observation and mentoring. We can tell them things. We can try to force things upon them. And they'll learn some of that because they're now being trained by sitting in front of professors to listen and learn that way. But they still watch and learn. Mentor and show these young men how to handle this important process. Take it seriously. Make sure that when a young man or a young woman comes in with some sort of problem, you take it seriously. You handle it appropriately.
And if you ask the young men about their fraternity and what it stands for, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. And I think that's, you let your child go off to college, and now it's the child's turn to come back and help educate the parent on what they're doing. And I would hope that all of the young men out there would talk to their parents about Theta Chi, more so than I'm just part of a fraternity. And the other part I would say, and I'm not sure how important this is, but as I told you earlier, I did not want my son to join Theta Chi. I did not want him to join a fraternity. I thought that his time on campus would be better spent in other organizations. As so often happens when you look back on your path of life, you see that those choices that you made were the exact correct ones. Being that his dad passed away 6 months later, and he's an only child, that brotherhood, that fraternity has helped Matt immensely. I'm sure I'll never know how much it's helped him.
May we all